just continuing the previous what you have seen, elimination is of further three kinds. If two living groups, whenever elimination is going on, keeping in mind one group leaves with electron pair, other leaves without electron pair. So the one which is leaving with electron pair and the other one leaving without electron pair, these two, if they are attached to same carbon, in other words they are alpha to each other, then they always, this is called alpha elimination. All right, let's see. We have, this is chloroform, you are familiar with CHCl3 chloroform. This base, when chloroform is reacted with a base, let's say sodium hydroxide, so sodium hydroxide is not soluble in that, but if we are stirring this, heating this, then some of the sodium hydroxide gets dissolved very little, sparingly soluble. The base picks up this proton forming water, and this Cl leaves in the form of chloride ion. All right. When this leaves in the form of chloride ion, so we get electron pair here. Now what it is generating? You see, this atom is leaving without with electron pair, generating a positive charge here. This hydrogen is leaving without electron pair, generating a lone pair here. This is a lone pair generated from the loss of hydrogen. But this carbon, you see, this is a carbene commonly called. Carbene have 6 electron in the valence shell, 4 electron as a two bond pair and one non-bonding electron pair. It has 6 electron in the valence shell, just like carbon monoxide. So it is electron deficient. This is commonly called as carbene. The same can also be generated by another procedure. Let's say if we are having a acetic acid, if acetic acid is reacted with chlorine, so it results in the formation of trichloroacetic acid, and then we make the salt of this. We react the trichloroacetic acid, very strong acid, because it has these three chlorine has a very strong electron withdrawing effect. So these are minus I groups. So this proton attached to this hydrogen is highly acidic. It easily lose. So when we react this with a base, base reacts with the proton to deprotonate this and form this salt. When this salt we are having in aqueous medium, and if we heat this up to 80 degrees Celsius, what happen? It undergo decarboxylation. How? Let's see. This chlorine is leaving with electron pair, all right, and this carbon is getting electron deficiency. So it takes this electron pair off from here. Very similar to this mechanism, very similar. But here it is hydrogen. Here this is carboxylate. When this is leaving, this carbon become electron deficient. This oxygen is negative. It donates this electron pair here, so resulting in the formation of this carbon breaks up and a new bond, pi bond, formed between carbon dioxide. So carbon dioxide leaves and results in the formation of same carbene, dichlorocarbene. So this is how two different entities can result the same carbene. Mechanism is different. One is leaving with electron pair, which is chlorine, common in both cases. In other, three chlorines are common, but here it is a hydrogen which is leaving without electron pair. It is carboxylate which is leaving without electron pair. This is a difference. This is called alpha elimination. If two leaving groups are beta to each other, that we also call adjacent to each other. These two, look at these. These are two bonds away. Hydrogen, carbon, one bond, carbon, Cl, second bond. If two groups are two bonds away, it is undergo alpha elimination. If, in other words, if they are alpha to each other, it is alpha elimination. If they are attached to same atom, so this is alpha elimination. These are three different ways of defining elimination. Very same here. If these two groups are beta to each other, that's why it is called beta elimination. If these two groups are adjacent to each other, that's why it is beta elimination. Or if these two are three bonds, well, look at here, one bond, two bond, three bonds, one bond higher than this. So this is called beta elimination. All right. So this is one I have presented, which is called syn elimination. You shall see just later. If two living groups are eclipsing each other, mean they are living at 0 degree angle to each other. All right, because you see these two bonds are synced to each other. This is a Saha-Hertz projection in which this bond and this bond, they are eclipsing each other perfectly. So when the two living groups are 0 degree to each other, this is called syn elimination. Very similar you have already come across when two adding group add to 0 degree to each other. So that is a syn addition. Very similar is syn elimination. If two living groups are living, one with electron pair, other without electron pair, and they are 0 degree to each other, mean eclipsing each other in a conformation, this is called syn elimination. On the other hand, if two living groups, you see, they are totally opposite. Here, this hydrogen bond, carbon A bond is in this direction, B bond is opposite direction. They are 180 degree to each other. All right. When they are living same way, one living with electron pair, other living without electron pair, resulting olefin. But one is resulting a trans olefin, other is resulting a cis olefin. This is, you can see, this is a trio product. Trio product undergoing syn elimination results in trans olefin. This is a if I present this, so this is the other way of presenting this one. This is the same one. This is also trio, but it is undergoing anti-elimination, right? That's why this is totally stereochemical outcome is opposite to this. This is resulting trans, this is cis. So if I rotate this to 180, this is going to be a R1 shall be here, hydrogen shall be here, very similar to this is the same molecule, but orientation is different. This is trio, this is also trio in fact. But syn elimination result trans and anti-elimination to trio results in the formation of cis olefin. It's the same you have already come across. If you have a cis olefin, anti-addition takes place, you always end with a trio product. If you are starting with a trans olefin, syn addition takes place, it always results in the formation of a very simple trio product as well. This is what you have already come across in addition. This is totally opposite to that. So this is called alpha elimination, this is beta elimination, and another is gamma elimination. If two living groups with electron pair and without electron pair are oriented at gamma to each other, let's see here. So this is a carbonyl carbon, this carbon is alpha to this is beta to this is gamma to this. This hydrogen is living without electron pair and this is living with electron pair. All right. So what they are resulting, this hydrogen transfer electron pair here, this is transferring here, this is transferring here. So you see in this case, this bond, which is I presented in black color, this bond is cleaving. And this bond, which I have presented in green, this is leaving in the form of this molecule, R3 and R4. Although this may be a cis bond and trans band, both can be the isomers of each, resulting in what? We are getting a double bond here and a single bond between oxygen and hydrogen. This is a radical cation commonly called. In fact, this is called enol. This enol shall instantly tautomerize into ketoform. So you see this molecule is separated into two molecules. One is a neutral entity, other is a radical cation. This is in fact commonly called McLafferty rearrangement. You shall see that it doesn't happen in the laboratory, but this happen in mass spectrometer. So this is called radical cation. So when you shall see the spectroscopic method in organic chemistry next semester, so you shall find what is mass spectrometer and how these molecules are generated and how these undergo generating neutral entity and another radical cation. This is called McLafferty rearrangement. McLafferty was Australian chemist who first of all studied this. That's why this is called McLafferty. This is also called gamma elimination. But gamma elimination doesn't happen in laboratories. It happens in mass spectrometer only. Just I already presented that in mass spectrometer, carbonium ions are generated. Carbonium ions we cannot generate in laboratories. In laboratories, carbocation can be generated, but not carbonium ion. But carbonium ion does generate in mass spectrometers. All right. And similarly, gamma elimination takes place in mass spectrometer, but it doesn't happen in laboratories. All right. So I hope this shall be clear. These are the three different kind of eliminations. One is called alpha elimination, other is called beta elimination, third is called gamma elimination. Now, because in solution chemistry or vapor state chemistry, in laboratory, this reaction doesn't happen. So it has a limited application towards the organic chemistry. So in this syllabi, we are not focusing on gamma elimination. You shall see that in a course which is Chem Chem 668. That spectroscopic method in organic chemistry that you can see next semester as a organic minors. So in which you shall see the mass spectrometry in which this McAlefty rearrangement shall be presented. But this is gamma elimination. It is not a focus to the organic chemistry at the moment because it is not going to happen in the laboratories. All right. Similarly, alpha elimination results in what? Carbene. Carbene has a very short life. It has a life which can be measured in picoseconds. 10 to raise per minus 12 second is the half-life of carbene. It is highly unstable, means highly reactive. So carbenes are reactive intermediates. So in that parameter we can study them. So but in reaction mechanism next semester you have a complete reactions of I hope you have already discussed this carbene, nitrines, benzynes in previous semesters. It was included, but I don't know whether you have covered this or not. So anyhow, this is not our focus at the moment. We can study the alpha elimination. If two living groups are attached to same carbon atom, it shall generate carbene. If let's say this atom is not nitrogen, carbon, is nitrogen, so it shall result electron deficient nitrogen, which we commonly call as nitrines. All right. So carbenes, nitrines, and many other entities can be generated which are electron deficient by alpha elimination. Gamma elimination takes place in the doesn't takes place in the laboratory. It takes place in the mass spectrometer. So these two are not our focus at the moment. Most which happen in organic chemistry is beta elimination, right? Generating olefins, because we need olefins. You have seen already a few reactions, active methylenes in which we have generated carbon-carbon double bonds, alpha beta unsaturated systems. So anyhow, this is the beta elimination which is most widely studied in elimination reaction. But elimination is not only beta elimination. Alpha elimination is also elimination. Gamma elimination is also elimination reaction. All right. But we are going to focus in this course in regard as per your syllabi on beta elimination only. We are not going to focus on alpha elimination and gamma elimination. So this is the classification of the mechanisms. Beta elimination we are only discussing. We are not discussing, I have presented alpha elimination here. We are not going to study the gamma elimination. Gamma elimination shall be studied in next semester. Similarly, alpha elimination shall also be studied in reaction mechanism course. This shall be studied in spectroscopic methods course. So these two are in different but in next semester. So they are being clarified in that next semester to you. But at the moment we are focusing on beta elimination. This is the classification of the beta elimination impact. Now, whenever we are doing reaction normally in solution phase. Why? Because when we have solution that we commonly call, we have a solvent over substrate and over reagent and over catalyst. All three should be soluble in that solvent. So we take such a solvent in which our solutes are substrate, reagent, and catalyst. If we are not using catalyst, it is reagent and substrate. And in some cases, we have only the substrate available. No reagent is required, like in pericyclic reactions, etc. So anyhow, whatsoever is a solute, it is only reagent. It is only substrate. It is substrate plus reagent. It is substrate plus reagent plus catalyst. If all of them are soluble in a solvent, we take that solvent as a recommended solvent. All right. So if this reaction is taking place in solution phase, why? All three are soluble in same phase. So substrate reacts with reagent in the presence of catalyst to form the product. This is why they become, if let's say one of them is solid, other is liquid, and the other one is let's say gas, just like I have exemplified already. If you are carrying out the hydrogenation of cooking oils, cooking oils are unsaturated system, hydrogen is a gas, so oils are liquid, hydrogen is a gas, catalyst we are using is normally nickel, this nickel is a solid, three reactants, all three in different phase. Our catalyst nickel is solid, our reagent hydrogen is a gas, our substrate cooking oil, that is a liquid. So what we need, so all three reactants are in different phase, right? Very similar is here what we do in laboratory, that is the industrial scale synthesis. But what we do in laboratories, in laboratory we perform totally different reactions. In laboratories what we are doing is we are doing the reaction, we are dissolving the reactants, which are maybe substrate, which may be reagent and including catalyst, all in one phase, so that all three reactants should be closer to each other in a same phase. This is called solution phase chemistry. On the other hand, we have another phase. This is in a liquid phase, in other words, you can say. But there is another state. There is another phase, which is called vapor phase. If we convert all our reactant into gas phase and then let them react with each other, let's say we have a reactant, we have a, let's say if we heat the cooking oil over 300 degrees Celsius, then they shall convert into vapor state. And hydrogen is also a gas. If we are reacting them, but it cannot react without hydrogen, without catalyst. So we have a plates of nickel present there. So these two gases shall approach these plates where nickel is there, hydrogen shall absorb there, and the cooking oil shall react with it to convert into saturated systems. All right. So this is what is done. But this is not done in the industrial scale. Industrial scale, different mechanism or different strategies have been employed. So these are the two methods that we normally use for reaction. One is vapor state, other is solution phase. If we are doing a beta elimination in solution phase, it follow different mechanism. If we are doing it in vapor phase, it follow different mechanism. This is the purpose of explaining this. If it is solution phase, mean all reactants are dissolved in a solvent and it is heated. Then it undergo E2 mechanism. E2 mean elimination bimolecular. E1 elimination mean unimolecular elimination. This is bimolecular elimination. This is unimolecular elimination. E1CB stands for unimolecular elimination with conjugate base. All right. So these three mechanisms are being observed when we are doing a reaction in solution phase. But if we are doing the same reaction in a vapor phase, then it follow EI, elimination intramolecular and free radical mechanism. So these are the two mechanisms which shall be followed in vapor phase. If we are doing a reaction in solution phase, free radical elimination is not possible. This is hello. Why there is a disturbance? Switch off your mics. So this is very similar, just like SN2, SN1, SNI. This is very similar to this. So E2 is elimination bimolecular, E1 is elimination unimolecular, EI is elimination intramolecular, E1CB is associated of a type of E1. We shall see the difference later. So anyhow, these are the classification of beta elimination. Two different method of synthesis, solution phase synthesis and vapor phase synthesis. If it is solution phase, it can only follow E2, E1 or E1CB. If it is vapor state, it shall follow EI and free radical mechanism. Vapor state cannot follow E1, E2 or E1CB mechanism. Similarly, solution phase cannot follow EI and free radical mechanism. Let's see, proceed further. This is one I have presented a scheme that elimination and substitution always go side by side. This is what I have already presented, that substitution and elimination go side by side. So how we can dominate elimination over substitution or substitution over elimination. So if we are interested in substitution and in elimination, now first look at the mechanism, then I shall explain how we can control the reaction. Let's say this is a substrate. X is living with electron pair. X is an atom which is more electronegative, definitely. It is living with electron pair. So hydrogen is living without electron pair. This B, which is a base, having a non-bonding electron pair, is donating non-bonding electron pair to this hydrogen and getting protonated. But during this protocol, you see this reaction is concerted. This is concerted mechanism is called elimination E2. Why this is E2? Because base and substrate both are reacting here. Base and substrate and forming a product which is 3, passing through a transition state. What is the transition state? This bond between X and carbon, this is I have presented in red, this is breaking. The bond between hydrogen and carbon, this is breaking. Both bond, one bond is breaking with electron pair, other is breaking without electron pair, right? And a new bond which between this carbon and that carbon, this is going to be formed that I have presented in green color. And another bond between base and hydrogen is going to form. This is I have already presented in green form. So green bonds are new bond forming, and red colored bonds, dotted bonds, they are the bond which are breaking. So two bonds are breaking and two new bonds are forming. This is the transition stage. So this reactant and base, because when these reactions are tried, the concentration of base, if we increase or decrease, it affects the reaction rate. And when substrate reactions, its concentration increases or decreases, it also affects the reaction rate. If we double this, the reaction rate gets double. If we triplicate this, the reaction rate triplicates. So if we increase the concentration of base, then the reaction rate also increases with same rate. In fact, when we make the kinetic study, the reaction is first order with respect to base. It is first order with respect to substrate. So first order with respect to both, it means this reaction is conserved. In reaction mechanism, both of these two are involved in single step. So this includes that this reaction have a bimolecular kinetics. When one thing have a bimolecular kinetics, it doesn't generate intermediate, but it generates what? It generates a transition state. So this is the transition state and this is the products. You see R1 and R4, they are opposite. R1 and R4, they are opposite. This is the rare carbon I have presented in blue color and front carbon in green color. This is the front carbon. So front carbon are R3 and R4, which are here. Rare carbon are 1, R1 and R2. So you see R3 and R2 are opposite. R3 and R2 are opposite. So this is the olefin generated by this method. This is called elimination, and this is called E2 elimination, because this is E2 elimination is a, in fact, uh, bimolecular elimination. Bimolecular means it is first order with respect to base, first order with respect to substrate. But if let's see this base have a nucleophilic character, this base have a nucleophilic character, then this base shall approach this carbon from opposite side to this X and substitute this. What this is called? This is called substitution, FN2. So if you remember this one, that this X shall leave with electron pair and a base which have a nucleophilic character as well, that shall approach the same carbon in opposite direction. As a result, we shall get the bond of base with this carbon, and still we are having R2, R3 opposite, R through R3 are eclipsing each other. Why? Because there is a change inversion in configuration at front carbon. All right. So due to this, the relationship is changed. So this is a substitution, mean SN2 is competing with E2. When this happens, when base is not a good base, this base has a nucleophilic character as well. If it has a nucleophilic character, it is no longer being a good. But how we can dominate elimination over substitution, or let's say if we are interested in substitution, how we can dominate this over elimination, just focus on thermodynamic values. In the beginning of this course, I have introduced entropy of the reaction, if you remember. Gibbs free energy relationship, delta G is equal to delta H minus T into delta S. The reactions are same. Base and substrate, they are same. Their enthalpy is same. If they are going elimination, they have a different enthalpy. If they are going to form a substitution, they have a different enthalpy. All right. So this is a totally different enthalpy they are having. In one case, this bond is replaced by this bond. In other case, a new pi bond is formed, which makes the product more stable. So it has a more higher minus delta H. One thing. Second, look at here. What products we are getting? Here we are getting an olefin. Here we are getting a base bonded with the hydrogen. And what else we are getting? X. X negative. X negative is leaving. So three products are being formed. X negative, this may be xanthate, this may be tosylate, this may be good living group, maybe nitrogen or anything else. So we have bonds, three products here. So three products and reactants are whole. Two are the reactants and three are the products. Look at substitution reaction. What we are getting? We are getting this product formation plus X negative. Now look at here. X negative is present here. X negative is present here. So both are same. Just focus here. We are having X negative form in this case. X negative is also formed in this case. So this is common among both. If it is common, we are not going to focus this. Look at here, other than living group here or living group here. So it is same. But here we are getting one product. Here we are getting not only this, but this is also our product. So this molecule shall have higher entropy than the reactant. But reactant is same for both reaction. So when we are calculating the entropy change, you see one X is replaced by base, there shall be a very minute change in entropy. So delta S shall be approximately zero, not making a big change. If you are comparing the entropy of reactant versus product, it shall not be a big difference. So it is approximately zero. All right. On the other hand, if we look at here, we are forming this product, protonated base and this olefin. So they are definitely having higher entropy. So if they are having higher entropy, so delta S is positive. If you remember, if delta S value increases, so enthalpy value is also increasing in this case. So if it is going doubling the both situation, so delta G value shall be more negative. If it is more negative, it means this is thermodynamically more suitable. So that's why I have presented it shall be favored at high temperature. If entropy is increasing by increase in temperature, then this reaction shall be favored at thermodynamic condition. Mean if we are doing this reaction at high temperature, then elimination shall be favored. Either this is E2 syn elimination or anti-elimination. So it doesn't make any difference. But with this, what is competing? Elimination is competing with substitution. So substitution entropy is unchanged. So Gibbs free energy of reactant and product is approximately same, not a big difference. It means maybe they are in equilibrium with each other. If that is the case, then this reaction shall be not be favored at high temperature. If it is at high temperature, it shall be in equilibrium because there is a minute difference in the delta G value. If it is minute, they are reversible. So reactants are going to form product. Product shall be going form reactant because do not forget X is their action approach from opposite side generating reactant back. This reaction shall be in equilibrium. If we are interested, suppose, if we are interested to dominate substitution over elimination, one thing over base should be a good nucleophile. Second, we can do this reaction at low temperature and for less reaction duration. In other words, kinetically controlled conditions shall favor substitution and thermodynamic conditions shall favor elimination. This is just like temperature is a one effect in our hands that we have carried out the reaction. We can make a non-spontaneous reaction a spontaneous. You have seen in the beginning of this course. Very similar for elimination versus substitution. We have one parameter in hand, which is thermodynamically controlled condition and kinetically controlled condition. Kinetically controlled condition shall favor substitution and thermodynamically favored condition shall always favor elimination, keeping in mind. So this is a very important clue that you can take with you. This is the message. So I'm just going to focus on another slide, then we shall skip over. So kinetic versus thermodynamic I have explained in this case. So thermodynamic condition versus kinetically control. You have already come across these two conditions. I have exemplified with examples. But on these two scientists work a lot in this case. You are familiar with Markovnikov, Vladimir Markovnikov. Uh, you have different spells in British or American books in which this is Markovnikov, K-O-F is being written, Markovnikov, K-O-F. But in fact, he was Russian, so he was belonging to University of Kazan. So Vladimir Markovnikov, this is the original spell of the Russian scientist, Markovnikov. So in if any name is ending with V after vowel, it always pronounced like F in Russian language. So this is Vladimir Markovnikov. He published his work in 1870 at University of Kazan. In same university, another scientist was working whose name was Alexander Sadzev. This is also a very important, let's see, he was also Russian. In same university, University of Kazan, he was working. So Sadzev and Markovnikov, they were rival to each other. They were not good friends, they were rivals. So they were they were PhD students of same scientist, Alexander Buterov. You see, it is again ending with O, OV. So this is ending with O. This is Buterov. Alexander Buterov was the PhD supervisor of Vladimir Markovnikov and Alexander Sadzev. Keeping in mind here, in Russian, when you have Z followed by a vowel, it pronounced like S. And S followed by a vowel always pronounced like Z. This is same in German as well. So in Russian, this is not Zetsaf. This is Sedzaf. Sed, Sad Zef. S shall be pronounced Z and Z shall be pronounced S in Russian and German, in fact. So this is Alexander Sadzev. So we shall pronounce the EF. Again, vowel followed by V shall pronounce as like F. This is Sadzev. This is Markovnikov. All right. So he published his work in 1972. So they were like arrivals. When Markovnikov published his work in 1817, University of Kazan, so Sadzev also working on a different aspects, and he's published his work after 2 years. So what work was done by Markovnikov and work was done by Sadzev. So Markovnikov's principle you have already come across, Markovnikov edition, anti-Markovnikov's edition. You have seen. I'm not going in that much detail, but what I am going to illustrate here is the thermodynamic versus steric factors. Today, so we have a very short time remaining. So I shall discuss the Sadzev work, and another German scientist were Hoffmann, totally opposite. So you shall see Hoffmann is working on the stability, sorry, kinetic condition, and Sadzev was working on thermodynamic condition. So I shall explain Sadzev versus Hoffmann in next lecture, and we shall keep further moving next lecture.